All right, we're starting a new book, Esther, and let's see how many chapters we have in Esther. We have 10 chapters in Esther. That's not bad. All right, I'm gonna try to read 5, and then 5 tomorrow. So it'll probably take me a minute, but I think I can do it. Alright, we're going to go with Esther 1. Now it came to pass in the days of Arsuchus, this is Arsuchus, which reigned from India into Ethiopia over 127 provinces. Wow, he had a lot. That in those days when the king I can't say that, sat on the throne of his kingdom, which was in Shushan, the palace, in the 3rd year of his reign, he made a feast unto all the princes and his servants, for the power of Persia and Media, the nobles and the princes of the province, being before him. When he showed the riches of his glorious kingdom and the honor of his excellent majesties many days, even 180 days. Wow, think about that. That's over 3 months. And when those days were expired, the king made a feast unto all the people that were present in Shushan the palace, both unto the great and small, 7 days in the court of the garden of the king's palace, where the white, green, and blue hangings fastened with cords of fine linen, and purple to silver rings, and pillars of marble. The beds were of gold and silver upon the pavement of red and blue and white and black and marble. Man, that sounds gorgeous. All those pretty colors together. And they gave him drink in vessels of gold, the vessels being derived one from another, and the royal wine in abundance according to the state of the king. And the drinking was according to the law. None did compel, for so the king had appointed to all the officers of his house that they should do according to every man's pleasure. Also, Vashti, the queen, made the feast for the women in the royal house which belonged to the king Ahasuerus. On the 7th day, when the heart of the king was merry with wine, he commanded some of his people, the 7 chamberlains that served in the palace presence of Archelaus the king, to bring Vashti the queen before the king with the crown royal, and show the people that the princess her beauty, for she was fair to look upon. But the queen Vashti, I wished I knew what this name was, make it a whole lot better, refused to come at the king's commandment by the chamberlains. Therefore was the king very wroth, and his anger burned in him. Then the king said to the wise men, which knew the times, for so was the king's manner towards all that knew law and judgment. And the next unto him was Carshia, and here we got some more names, 7 princes of Persia and Media, which saw the king's face, and which sat the first in the kingdom. What shall we do unto the queen Vashti according to law? Because she hath not performed the commandment of the king Xerxes by the chamberlains. And Memucan answered before the king and the princes, Vashti the queen hath not done wrong to the king only, but also to the princes and to all the people that are in the province of the king. For this deed of the queen shall come abroad unto all women, so that they shall desire their husband in their heart. Then it shall be reported the king Xerxes commanded Vashti the queen to be brought in before him, but she came not. Likewise shall the ladies of Persia and Media say this day unto all the king's presence which have heard of the deeds of the queen. Thus shall there arise too much contempt and wrath. And if it please the king, let there go a royal commandment from him, and let it be written among the laws of the princes and the Medes, that it be not allowed that Vashti come no more before the king Xerxes, and let the king give her royal estate unto another that is better than she. And when the king's decree which he shall make shall be published throughout all his empire, for it is great, all the wives shall give to their husband honor, both to great and small. And the saying pleased the king and the princes, and the king did according to the word of the Memucan. For he sent letters unto all the king's province, and to every province according to the writing thereof, and to every people after their language, that every man shall bear rule in his own house, and that it should be published according to the language of every people. We're on chapter 2. After these things, when the wrath of the king Xerxes was appeased, he remembered Vashti and what she had done, and what was decreed against her. Then said the king, servants that ministered unto him, let her be fair young virgins brought for the king, and let the king appoint officers in all the province of his kingdom, that they may gather together all the fair young virgins unto Shushan the palace, to the house of the women, and to the custody of Hege, the king's chamberlain, keeper of the women, and let their things for the purification be given them. And let the maiden which pleaseth the king to be king instead of Vashti, and the thing pleased the king, and he did so. Now Shushan, the palace, there was a certain Jew whose name was Mordecai, the son of Jair, and the son of Shimei, the son of Kish, a Benjamite, who had been carried away from Jerusalem with the captivity which had been carried away with Joachim, king of Judah, from Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, had carried away. And he brought up Hadassah, that is Esther, his uncle's daughter, for she had neither father nor mother, and the maid was fair and beautiful, whom Mordecai, when her father and mother were dead, took her for his own daughter. So it came to pass, when the king's commandment and his decree was heard, and when many maidens were together into Shushan, the palace, to the custody of Haggai, that Esther was brought also into the king's house to the custody of Haggai, keeper of the women. And the maiden pleased him, and she obtained kindness of him, and she speedily gave her things for purification with such things as belonged to her, and 7 maidens which were met to be given her out of the king's house. And he purified her and her maids unto the best place of the house of the women. Esther had not showed her people nor her kindred, for Mordecai had charged her that she should not show it. In other words, don't show you're a Jew. And Mordecai walked every day before the court of the women's house to know how Esther did, and what should become of her. Now when every maiden term was come to go into King Xerxes, after that she had been 12 months according to the manner of women, for so were the days of their purification accomplished, to wit 6 months with oil of myrrh, and 6 months with sweet odor, and with other things for the purifying of the women. Now think about this. The body is holding all that smell in, and I don't know. I wouldn't want all that smell on me all the time. I like to be able to smell it. You know what I mean? And if it's on you all the time, you get used to it and you can't smell it. All right, 13. Then thus came every maiden unto the king, whatsoever she desired was given her, to go with her out of the house of the women into the king's house. In the evening she went, and on the morrow she returned into the second house of the women, to the custody of Ashgiz, the king's chamberlain, which kept the concubines. She came in unto the king no more, except the king delighted in her, and that she were called by name. So, in other words, all these women, they sleep with him, and then they go to another place for the concubines. And if he remembers her name, then he can call on her. But if your name is not remembered, you're just stuck there. You're stuck like Chuck, and you cannot marry nobody else. You're just a concubine that has no life. I don't think I'd want that. Now when the turn of Esther, the daughter of Abihail, the uncle of Mordecai, who had taken her for his daughter, was came to go in unto the king, she required nothing, but that Haggai, the king's chamberlain, the keeper of the women, appointed. And Esther obtained favor in the sight of all them that looked upon her. So Esther was taken to King Xerxes unto his house royal in the 10th month, which the month of Tebeth, in the 7th year of his reign. And the king loved Esther above all the women, and she obtained grace and favor in his sight more than all the virgins, so that he set the royal crown upon her head and made her queen instead of Vashti. Now, they say that he killed Vashti, but I ain't read nothing yet where she's dead. So I think he just put her in the concubines and let her live, but we're going to find out. Then the king made a great feast unto all his presents and his servants, even Esther's feast. And he made a release to the province and gave gift according to the state of the king. And when the virgins were gathered together the second time, then Mordecai sat in the king's gate. Esther had not yet showed her kindred nor her people, as Mordecai had charged her. For Esther did the commandment of Mordecai, like as when she was brought up with him. In those days, while Mordecai sat in the king's gate, two of the king's chamberlain, Bigthan and Teresh, those which kept the door, were wroth and salty, and laid hands on the king Archus. And the thing was known to Mordecai, who told it to Esther the queen. And Esther certified the king thereof in Mordecai's name. And when question was made of the matter, it was found out. Therefore they were both hanged on a tree, and it was written in the book of Chronicles before the king. Chapter 3. After these things did King Xerxes promote Haman the son of Hammedatha the Agagite, and advanced him, and set his seat above all princes that were with him. And all the king's servants that were in the king's gate bowed and reverenced Haman, for the king had so commanded concerning him. So Mordecai bowed not, nor did him reverence. Then the king's servants which were in the king's gate said unto Mordecai, Why transgressed thou the king's commandment? Now it came to pass, when they spoke daily unto him, that he hearkened not unto them, that they told Haman, to see whether Mordecai's matters would stand. For he had told them that he was a Jew. And when Haman saw that Mordecai bowed not, nor did him reverence, then the Haman fell of wrath. And he thought scorn to lay hands on Mordecai alone, for they had showed him the people of Mordecai. Wherefore Haman sought to destroy all the Jews that were throughout the whole kingdom of Artaxerxes, even the people of Mordecai. In the first month, that is the month Nisan, in the 12th year of King Xerxes, they cast that is the lot before Haman, from day to day, and from month to month, to the 12th month, that is the month Adar. And Haman said unto the king Artaxerxes, There is a certain people scattered abroad, and displaced among the people in all the provinces of the kingdom. And their laws are diverse from all people, neither keep they the king's law. Therefore it is not the king's profit to suffer them. If it please the king, let it be written that they may be destroyed, and will pay 10,000 talents of silver to the hands of those that have the charge of the business, to bring it into the king's treasures. All right, so now they're going to put taxes on everything, on these people that will not bow down. That's crazy. That's like what we're going on now. The government wants you to bow down to them. So therefore, they make up laws like taxes. Alright, we're on to him. And the king took his ring from off his hand and gave it to Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the Agagite, the Jews' enemy. And the king said unto Haman, The silver is given to thee, the people also, to do with them as it seemeth good to thee. All right. Look, they're not following your rules. We got to do something with them. All right, 12. Then there were the king's scribe called on the 13th day of the first month, and there was written according to all that Haman had commanded unto the king's lieutenants, and the governor that were over every province, and to the rulers of every people of the very province according to the writing thereof, and to every people after their language. In the name of King Xerxes was it written, and sealed with the king's ring. And the letters were sent by post unto all the king's province to destroy, to kill, and to cause to perish all Jews, both young and old, little children and women, in one day, even upon the 13th day of the 12th month, which is the month Adar, and to take the spoil of them for a prey. I do not see that. No. Do not kill because they will not obey what you want them to do. They should have the freedom to do what they want. Alright. The copy of the writing for the commandment to be given in every province was published unto all people that they should be ready against that day. So they knew that this character, Haman, was going to do it. That they were going to kill them all. Okay. The post went out, being hasted by the king's commandment, and the decree was given to Shushan the palace, and the king and Haman sat down to drink. But the city Shushan was perplexed. Alright, we're on chapter 4. When Mordecai perceived that all was done, Mordecai rent his clothes and put on sackcloth with ashes, and went out in the midst of the city, and cried with a loud and bitter cry. And it came even before the king's gate, for none might enter into the king's gate clothed with sackcloth. And in every province wheresoever the king commandments and his decree came, there was a great mourning among the Jews, and fasting, and weeping, and wailing, and many laid in sackcloth and ashes. So Esther's maid and her chamberlains came and told it her. Then was the queen exceedingly grieved, that she sent raiment to clothe Mordecai, and to take away his sackcloth from him, but he received it not. Then called Esther for Hatach, one of the king's chamberlains, whom he had appointed to attend upon her, and gave him a commandment to Mordecai, to know that it was, and why it was. So Hatach went forth to Mordecai, and to the streets of the city, which were before the king's gate. And Mordecai told him of all that had happened unto him, and of the sum of the money that Haman had promised to pay to the king's treasures for the Jews to destroy them. Also he gave him the copy of the writing of the decree that was given to Shushan to destroy them, to show it unto Esther, and to declare it unto her, and to charge her that she should go in to the king and make supplication unto him, and to make request before him for her people. And Hatach came and told Esther the words of Mordecai. Again Esther spoke unto Haman, and gave him commandments unto Mordecai. And all the king's servants and the people of the king's province do know that whosoever, whether man or woman, shall come into the king into the inner court, who is not called, there is one law of his to put him to death, except to whom the king shall hold out the golden sepulchre, that he may live. But I have not been called to come into the king's those 30 days. So she ain't seen him since. And they told to Mordecai Esther's words. Then Mordecai commanded to answer Esther, think not with thyself that thou shalt escape in the king's house more than all the Jews. For if thou altogether holdest thy peace at this time, then shall their enlargement and deliverance arise to the Jews from another place. But thou and thy father's house shall be destroyed. And who knoweth whether thou art come to the kingdom for such a time as this? You may be in there to take care of all this right here. So it's time for you to speak up, Esther. All right, 15. Then Esther obeyed them, returning Mordecai his answer. Go gather together all the Jews that are present in Shushan, and fast ye for me, and neither eat nor drink 3 days, nights nor day. I also and my handmaids will fast likewise. And so will I go in to the king, which is not according to the law. And if I perish, I perish. If I die, I die. So Mordecai went his way and did according to all that Esther had commanded him. All right, now we're on chapter 5, and this will be the last one. Now it came to pass on the 3rd day that Esther put on her royal apparel and stood in the inner court of the king's house over against the king's house. And the king sat upon his royal throne in the royal house over against the gate of the house. And it was so, when the king saw Esther, the queen, standing in the court, that she obtained favor in his sight, and the king held out to Esther the golden sepulchre that was in his hand. So Esther drew near and touched the top of the sepulchre. And then said the king unto her, What wilt thou, Queen Esther, and what is thy request? It shall be given thee to the half of the kingdom. And answered Esther, If it seem good unto the king, let the king and handmaid come this day unto the banquet that I have prepared for him. Then the king said, Cause Haman is to make haste, that he may go as Esther has said. So the king and Haman came to the banquet that Esther had prepared. And the king said unto Esther at the banquet of wine, What is thy petition? And it shall be granted thee. And what is thy request? Even to the half of the kingdom it shall be performed. And then answered Esther and said, My portion and my request is, if I have found favor in the sight of the king, and it please the king to grant my petition and perform my request, let the king and Haman come to the banquet that I shall prepare them, and I will do tomorrow as the king has said. Then went Haman forth that day joyful and with glad heart. But when Haman saw that Mordecai in the king's gate, that he stood not up nor moved for him, he was full of indignation against Mordecai. Nevertheless, Haman rephrased himself, and when he came home, he sent and called for his friends and Zeresh, his wife, and Haman told them of the glory of his riches and the multitude of his children, and all the things wherein the king had promoted him, and how he had advanced him above the princes and servants of the king. Haman said moreover, Yea, Esther the queen did let no man come in with the king unto the banquet that she had prepared, but myself, and tomorrow I am invited unto her also with the king. Yet all thee availeth me nothing, so long as I see Mordecai the Jew sitting in the king's gate. In other words, that one guy that will not bow down to him is really, he peed on his Wheaties, I'm telling you. All right. Then said Zeresh his wife and all his friends unto him, Let the gallows be made of 50 cubits high, and tomorrow Speak thou unto the king that Mordecai may be hanged thereon. Then go thou in merrily with the king unto the banquet. And the thing pleased Haman, and he caused the gallows to be made. All right, we're on chapter 6, and we're going to quit right there, and we're going to try to read 6 through 10 tomorrow, and we'll get this book done real quick. I say hugs and kisses to everyone, and may the Creator, Father God, richly bless you.